And in DC, they're so expensive. I mean, that wouldn't even work for us here.
Just him, it would be an idea. He has a 3-year loaded.
So, I mean, and well, they were very angry.
It's just that there was a lot of
She
fragility.
didn't tell them up front
And I
that
have been
she
getting
had a
better
problem.
like this or
It's
that.
not supposed to happen.
Fine, it's fine. I was like, I
They're supposed
can't
to
today.
accommodate her after, so they had to get a special computer that she could talk into instead of typing all the time.
So what did you do? Tell me about
And
it.
they
What was
really
the
gave her a
charades.
hard time
Yeah,
about
just
it.
do one round.
They
Okay.
boss was very mean about it.
Very good. And then
Well, then she finally, she called me back. Now they really
Bart was kind of the MC, but he was also an assistant.
the same girl who was
That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to laugh and be silly.
that's what she was.
That was the whole point,
When
right?
she was in 10th grade, she had his counsel. It's hard to describe.
My girlfriend has 3 other 6, and they all have their own special
Job.
We didn't go out one night. We were supposed to go somewhere. Sorry.
So, well, he's just got a new job. A program.
She said it gets easier, right? And I said, well, dot, 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 dot. I said, it changes, but you can go out more, which is true. So I'm not where you are. You can really like make your choices, but I'm better than she is. Like toddlers, like I have some
When our kids were little, we lived on the pavement. So especially in summer, they had the drive-in theater down there in Walton. And we would, like, in car seats, we would go for a date to the drive-in and let them sleep in the back. They had a double feature, and the first was like a G rated something. So we were able to move it up in the car, hung a blanket between the front seat and the back seat. And after the first feature, on went to pajamas, brushed the seat, putting the slip in the back, and then we watched that would be our date.
That's a good idea. Hey, you have to do it. You have to get creative.
That and move a hot dog. And so, like, still, like, it'll be a crazy day, and I'll be like, 10 o'clock in the hot tub? Okay. Like, very good.
I don't tell my kids that they keep pitching for a hot tub.
The
Like,
best person.
like, no, I don't want something else to take care of.
Ours is like, literally, you fill it up and plug it in. We've
You don't
had
have to maintain it. We have a pool there. That's a lot of work.
I mean, they have to test the chemicals maybe once every 3 months. I don't say that, but we bought
My
it
husband has been trying
right
to get
before
one.
Jake was born, because I wanted to Labor Day. Called my midwife and she said, how you doing? I said, well, I'm just contractions about 5 minutes apart, but I feel fine. She's like, honey, we're on the hot tub here. I'm like, but it's so comfortable here. But we've had it ever since, and we used to like just go out and take a baby monitor and just put it out there so we could go out and we're sleeping.
I mean, I guess it would just feel like, again, it's like the kids having like really nice food. And my husband wants it.
And you have a pool.
We have a pool.
He loves it. I can't go into this. I know, exactly. We'll go out and it's not even just taking our buddy on
I
vacation.
know. Oh, I remember doing that as a kid, for sure, when we would go on trips and stuff.
And we got to like comfortably get 4 in a pinch. And it cost $2,000. And literally all the money we do, we're in the
So you don't have to run it all the time. You just,
Well, it does.
you then it gets gross, right? You don't run it, like it gets dirty.
Yeah, no, you have to run it, but we keep it in the summer. We're kind of empty it in the summer.
gray and rainy November Sunday. We're delighted to have you here. My name is Jean Toohey. I am your worship associate this morning. I welcome.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Bruce. Better? All right, let's start again. On this gray and rainy Sunday, you are very, very welcome. We are delighted to have you here. My name is Jane Toohey. I am your worship associate this morning, and I welcome one and all to our worship service. If you are joining us for the first time, we invite you to stop at the visitors table in the vestibule after the service. There you can find information to take with you about the First Religious Society and about Unitarian Universalism. We also hope you will pick up copies of our ministers' previous sermons, which can be found on the shelves near the front door. You can also find out more about us on our website, frsuu.org, and on Facebook. We encourage you to connect with any of our members or staff or with Reverend Rebecca Bryant so that we can get to know you. Everyone is invited to join us after service for coffee hour next door in the parish hall, the white building to my left, and those who have name tags are encouraged to wear them both as a way of strengthening our community and as a welcoming gesture to newcomers. We encourage everyone's participation in all of our activities and all of our endeavors. And we invite each of you into our shared ministry, which takes place within our church community and outside beyond these walls. On that subject, I call your attention to the announcement of meetings, classes, and events in the Here's What's Going On section of the Order of Service. Please take a moment to look through these listings. This morning, I am pleased to welcome Julie Parker Amory, who will be our worship leader this morning. Julie has been on staff here at FRS for almost 20 years, for 19 as our Director of Religious Education, and now as Director of Faith Formation and Spiritual Exploration. Julie has spent most of her professional life working within the Unitarian Universalism, starting with her first job out of college, which was as the editorial assistant of our Gray Hymnal. She is also a certified spiritual director, companioning individuals on their spiritual journeys and assisting them in listening to the deep voice within. Julie lives in Amesbury, where she and Steve have raised Liam and Lily and covered much ground walking Bruno and Theo. Thank you. It is good to be together.
Good morning. Our opening words are from Reverend David Bumbaugh. We are here dedicated to the proposition that beneath all our differences, behind all our diversity, there is a unity that binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We join in silent witness to that unity.
At this time, I would like to invite Christine Pelham and Diane Stokone, who will light our chalice and our candles of peace.
Please join us in saying the chalice lighting words which are printed in your orders of service. We gather this hour as
As
people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. There are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we hold especially close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, we will speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle is lit for homes across the country for which the Thanksgiving holiday is less than joyous due to loss, loneliness, estrangement, and any number of reasons. May all people find something to be grateful for this holiday season. Peace, salam, shalom. Our second candle is lit for the indigenous peoples across the land who bear the burden of ancestral trauma. May we remember them especially this Thanksgiving week. Peace, salam, shalom.
Rise in body and spirit. Let's join our voices in our opening hymn, after which we will remain standing for our unison affirmation of faith and the doxology. The hymn is number 52 in our gray terminal in Sweet Fields of Autumn. Please join in our affirmation of faith. The words are printed in your order of service. To dwell together in peace Please be seated. I would like to invite forward all of our children and youth and Mara who are with us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, youth and children. Hello. Every day, someone is born, and every day someone dies. Death can be a very hard thing to talk about, but it's a natural part of life. All things living grow, change, and die. Everyone eventually has an experience of someone who died. People die for different reasons. Some people die because they are old. Some people get very sick and then they die. And some people die because something unexpected or tragic happens. I brought a picture today of my friend Pam. Pam was a high school English teacher. She's beautiful. She was a high school English teacher who also used her classes to teach tolerance, social justice, and kindness. And she was one of the sweetest and most caring people I've ever known. Pam was diagnosed with a very serious disease, and she was very sick for about a year, and then she died. Have any of you known someone who died? Who did you know?
My dad.
Your dad? I'm so sorry.
My mom's cat died. Dog.
Your mom's dog? You're smiling.
Both my grandfathers.
Both your fathers? Both your grandfathers? Yeah, that is very different.
My grandfather and my grandmother.
My great-grandmother. My mom's, their mom died.
Anyone else?
My Moody died. My great-grandfather.
Anyone else?
My grandfather.
When someone you love dies, it can feel as if your heart has been torn in two. You may feel lots of different feelings, and it's important to feel them all, and to share and talk about those feelings with someone you trust. When Pam was sick, and then when Pam died, I had so many feelings. I was heartbroken for her family. I felt anxious and scared, and sometimes I even felt angry. But I also felt some relief when she died because it was so hard to see her suffering. But underneath all those feelings was a deep sadness and a deep love. What kinds of feelings might someone have when someone they love has died? Or what feelings have you had that you might want to share today?
Sadness, but also anger.
I feel kind of anxious and mad and sad.
all mixed together. I felt very upset. It makes me sad. I don't really want to be anywhere near them because it makes me sad, and I want to be away from there to have a minute so I don't feel as sad and crying.
It takes such courage to go on living when someone you love has died, and to accept that death cannot be changed. There's a lot we don't know about death. Every culture has different beliefs about what happens after a person dies. Beliefs about what happens after death are personal to each of us. We all have our own ways of understanding or not understanding this mystery. Search your heart and other sources you trust to find out what you believe. Most cultures share some beliefs about what happens after death, like the idea that when a person dies, their soul, the part of them that made them special, takes a journey to join the souls of other people who have passed away. It's not an easy idea to understand. Sometimes it can help if you think of the soul as a single raindrop joining a big ocean. When someone you know dies, the things you experienced with that person stay inside of you and become a part of you. I like to remember Pam's laugh, especially when she was sharing embarrassing stories about herself. Like when she came out of a public bathroom and didn't realize that she had tucked her skirt into her underwear. If you have questions for the one who died, you can ask them in your imagination or write out loud. I do that. We can find ways to connect with someone who died by remembering them, sharing stories about experiences we had with them, reading what they loved to read, and doing things they loved to do. In this way, we can keep our connections to those who have died and to those who are still living. These connections make death less scary, and they make life more fun. Thank you.
Our collection for a cause this month supports the Amesbury Holiday Program, Christmas Tree Santa, and Our Neighbor's Table, organizations collaborating to help local families in need over the holidays. Half of our loose plate collection will go to support this work. And now, as an act of worship, the offering will be gratefully received. This is the time in our service each week when we lift up joys and sorrows from within our beloved community. This morning we hold in our thoughts and prayers Kristen Miller and her family, Phoenix Merrill and Marcus Lyle. Kristen's father died on Monday, November 18th. Cards can be sent to 14 Ridgemere Way in Amesbury. Anita Wright asked for prayers for the passing of Dr. Barbara Van Nye, professor and chair of psychiatric nursing at Syracuse University, and Anita's good friend. And we remember all the joys and sorrows upon our hearts that, though unspoken, are held close. Please join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunities this day brings, opportunities to open our hearts, to listen deeply to another, to connect. For the opportunity to forgive, to share joy, to witness grace. We offer thanks for those who create beauty in the world through music or art, for those who make us laugh, for the innocence of children and the wisdom of elders. Please hold in your loving embrace those who are lonely, those who grieve, those who are sick, and those who are otherwise not well. Help us to notice them and reach out to them. Spirit of life and love, grant us peace. Amen.
Our reading this morning is by the Reverend Kathleen Mateague and is titled, "They Are With Us Still." In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways that we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had come before. They too were drawn by a vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us have not disappeared. They are with us still. Their lives hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, their hearts. We take them with us and with them choose the deeper path of living. Please rise in body or spirit and join together in our next hymn, number 1002 in our teal hymn book, "Comfort Me."
Please be seated. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this day. May I live today in a way that honors my ancestors and that honors those who come after me. This is a little prayer I say often, almost daily. I don't remember when I first began to say these words, but they've become like a mantra. They are a simple reminder of how I would like to live my life. I'd like to parse out the prayer a little bit with you this morning. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this day. That's pretty straightforward. It's good to remind oneself that each day is a gift. The Irish poet-philosopher John O'Donoghue writes, "Mornings rarely find us so astounded at the new day that we are unable to decide between adventures. We take on days with the same conditioned reflex with which we wash and put on our clothes each morning. If we could be mindful of how short our time is, we might learn how precious each day is." He goes on to say, "The liturgy of dawn signals the wonder of the arriving day. The magic of darkness breaking through into color and light is such a promise of invitation and possibility. Each day is a field of brightness where the invitation of our life unfolds. No day is ever the same, and no day stands still. Each one moves through a different territory, awakening new beginnings. A day moves forward in moments, and once a moment has flickered into life, it vanishes and is replaced by the next." Let's think about that. How many of us live our lives truly with the awareness of each day being a singular gift? What would happen if we lived each day with complete and utter mindfulness? If we lived with an awareness that each day might be our last? My earliest memory of a spiritual moment happened when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Though in general I remember only snapshot-like images from that time in my life, I remember events of this particular day with remarkable clarity. On the face of it, there was nothing extraordinary about it. I rode in the back of the station wagon to go grocery shopping with my mom. I ate a tuna fish sandwich on the porch when we got home. I played beneath my favorite tree on the other side of the driveway. And at the end of the day, I stood in my dad's home office with my concerned parents, crying almost inconsolably. And when they asked me what I was crying about, I choked out that I was sad that the day was over. Now, this can be taken as one of those sweet things that children say. However, I believe that at that moment I had a deep understanding of the gift that is life in a way that I too seldom have as I now go about my day to day. But gratitude is easy when our days are good, when they are made up of tuna fish sandwiches and trees to play under. The fact is, there are many days on which I'm more than happy to close the door. Most of us have weeks, months, even years we can't wait to kick to the curb. It's at these very times, of course, when it's most important to dig deep to find gratitude. Gratitude is a saving grace in times of grief or suffering. I have found much inspiration in the diaries and letters of Etty Hilsum, a Dutch Jewish woman who has been called the mystic of the Holocaust because of her prolific writings about maintaining a deep relationship with God, even as her death in a concentration camp became imminent. While a prisoner at the Westerbork transition camp, a transition camp being where Jews were kept until they could be taken via cattle car to the concentration camps. It was while in a transition camp that she wrote, "Sometimes when I stand in some corner of the camp, my feet planted on your earth, my eyes raised toward your heaven, tears sometimes run down my face, tears of deep emotion and gratitude. At night, too, when I lie in my bed, tears of gratitude run down my face, and that is my prayer." Etty Hilsum's gratitude did not suddenly come out of a void, of course, in the transition camp. Though her life had never been easy, she had begun a prayer and meditation practice as a young adult, and through that was eventually living a life filled with gratitude. Gratitude saves us in our moments of despair. It behooves us to practice gratitude regularly, all the time, even in times of plenty when it comes easily, so that it is second nature when we really need it. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this day. May I live today in a way that honors my ancestors. Who are the ancestors? In a literal sense, they are the vast multitudes of people who all had to survive, sometimes against all odds, in order for each one of us to be here. Think about that for a minute. Think about every single thing that had to happen, every life that had to be lived just so, every relationship that had to form. Think of acts of violence that some of our ancestors had to endure in order for us to be here. And now try not to feel a tremendous sense of gratitude and awe at being here. May I live today in a way that honors this fact, that I am here truly against all odds. May I never take this for granted. And may I live today in a way that honors how they lived their lives. May I live in a way that would make them proud. I say these words and I can literally feel the presence of my ancestors. They walk with me, they reside within me, compelling me to live my life in a way so that their own legacies shine ever brighter. My newest ancestor is my dad, who died just 2 weeks ago on Veterans Day. With his passing, he transitioned into the sacred role of ancestor, of one who has journeyed into the great unknown, the journey that all must take, and whose legacy we are left to honor. We are left to consider how we want him to live on. Among many things, he embodied an impish sense of humor and extreme generosity. Nearly everyone who ever met my dad has a funny story to share. And his generosity was truly legendary. As I strive to keep his memory and his legacy alive, I am called to nurture these qualities in myself. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this day. May I live today in a way that honors my ancestors and that honors those who come after me. We are the future ancestors. Carlos Castaneda reminds us that death is our eternal companion. Each day brings each of us ever closer to our own passing. To live in a way that honors those who come after us is to leave our loved ones with gifts, good gifts, to remember us by. Gifts of unconditional love, of generosity, of laughter. Bestowing these gifts as we live our days gives our loved ones something real and comforting to hold on to when we're gone. I know this. I'm at the beginning stage of my own grief journey, and I can tell you that thus far, the comfort of my father's gifts is real. And there are the descendants far into the future to consider. Perhaps you're familiar with the saying that a society becomes great when the people plant trees in whose shade they will never sit. We don't need to literally plant trees in order to leave a legacy, but I believe that our actions, large and small, have consequences for our descendants, that simply the way we are in the world has consequences. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Do I want to be a force for good in the world? How will my living make this world a little better? Augusta Jane Chapin, a Universalist who was one of the first women ordained to the ministry, wrote in 1897, "The greatest name will perish from human history, the finest monument crumble into dust, and the time will come when our names will be lost and our places know us no more. Yet we shall survive in the memories of our friends as long as the remembrance will serve any good purpose, And then our work and thought and influence will mingle with the great ocean of human achievement, and the sum total of that will be something more and something different from what it would have been without us. We each matter. How we live our lives matters. The good that we each do in the world commingles and creates a greater field of love and hope and joy for future generations. Gracious Spirit, thank you for this day. May we live today in a way that honors our ancestors and that honors those who come after us. So may it be. Amen. This morning, we will honor our loved ones and ancestors by lighting candles and speaking their names. Fire has always been important in ceremonies honoring the dead. Whether bonfires, hearth fires, candles, oil lamps, torches, or lanterns, their light is a symbol of honor and reverence. We light these candles of remembrance now so that our own beloveds may find their way to our hearts, that we may be open to the wisdom and messages of hope and love that they would offer us. After each candle is lit, we will sing one verse of hymn number 1002, Comfort Me.
We light this candle to begin our parents, grandparents, and great-great-grandparents, all the ancestors to whose love and care and sacrifice we owe our very existence.
Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
We light this candle for other family members who have gone before us, spouses, partners, children, siblings, aunts and uncles, cousins, nephews and nieces, and give thanks for the richness and love they provided in our lives.
We light this candle for members of our community who have died in recent years in thanksgiving for their contributions they made to the life of the First Religious Society. Today I have in mind specifically Kathy Seidel and Cotty Frazier. You may well think of others.
light this candle for ancestors of another kind.
For those who have given life to our minds.
For teachers, mentors, writers, and sages.
For scientists and artists who have imparted knowledge and wisdom that outlives their earthly existence.
Dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul.
We light this candle for our spiritual ancestors, for all those who have taught us the values by which we live, who have given us the confidence in our own spiritual worth and the worth of every creature.
I would like to invite us now to call the names of those who have passed before us, family, mentors, teachers, friends. As the Spirit moves you, please speak a name. After the litany, the ringing of the bell will invite us into a few moments of meditation. William Parker. Kathy Seidel. Colin Amory. Can you hear them? Can you hear the whispers of the ancestors? We remember. Their stories are in these walls, in our bones, in the air that we breathe. Their stories are in the touch of a calloused hand, in the melody of songs that we hum while washing dishes, in remembered faces. We hear the whispers of the ancestors. Their stories touch our lives and call us into becoming. And now please rise in body or in spirit and join in our final hymn, which is number 103 in the gray hymnal, For All the Saints.
Please join in our unison benediction. The words are printed in your order of service. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always.
Blessed are those who have passed through the veil, from life to death, to earth from breath. Blessed are those who suffered to gift us with blood. Blessed are those who survived to gift us with body. Blessed are those whose songs gift us with inspiration. Blessed are those whom we knew and loved in life, whose memory we carry with us like a word of comfort. Blessed are those who left this land long ago, whose names we honor like a word of hope, or if we know not their names, whose lives we honor still. We live and love because you lived and loved. We speak and struggle because you spoke and struggled. You live in us as we will live in those who come after us. Grant us the patience, our beloved dead, to see the long view and remember that what we do affects millions of souls we will never know.